Okay, so we just took a look at multiplying with the same base, adding the exponents, and dividing with the same base, subtracting the exponents. Now we're going to take a look at exponents to exponents. So let's take a look at 2 squared cubed. Now, what does this mean? Well, 2 squared is simply 2 times 2. And cubed just means 3 of those. So as you can see in the notes, I've taken 2 squared cubed and called it 2 times 2 all cubed. And then I've said 3 of those, 2 times 2, times 2 times 2, times 2 times 2. Then I'm multiplying with the same base, so I know that it's just 2 to the 6 equals 2 to the 6. Now there must be a better way. So we're simply just going to multiply the exponents. And we get 2 to the 6. Circle our answer, check our answer. So I'm not going to use the calculator this time. 2 squared is 4. And 4 cubed is 64. The right-hand side, 2 to the 6 is also 64. Check marking our answer. So, exponents to exponents, multiply the exponents. Now, that's tougher to write that rule. So let's start to write rules properly. So, pick a letter like x to the exponent m, brackets around it, to the n, equals x to the mn. So keep in mind, we've got all these rules on the same page at the end or at the start of the chapter on the review sheet, which you can either watch first or last. Continuing. So let's go with 5 to the 4 squared, the next question. So 5 to the 4 squared, I know I simply multiply the exponents. So this time I'm not even going to write it. I'm just going to do 4 times 2 is 8. Then I'm going to circle my answer. Then I'm going to type the question into the calculator exactly as you see it, and we get 390625. Then I'm going to type the other 5 to the 8, and I get exactly the same thing. So instead of writing those ridiculous things, I'm just going to write check mark. And that check mark indicates to myself and my teacher that I went the extra step to check my work to prove that we did it correctly. Okay, so next section. So it says write the product or quotient, basically multiply the exponents. So before we were going to the right, we're going to start to go down the page a lot more. It's going to be a lot prettier. So let's take a look at 3 times 4 to the 2. Now sure, we learned in grade 8 that bedmass was everything. You have to do bedmass. And sure, we could. 3 times 4 is 12, and 12 squared is 144. So we know the answer has to be 144 no matter what we do. But here we're just learning how to do rules. So first of all, 3 has an exponent of 1. And forever and always, if I ever see a number all by itself in the exponent section, I'm going to give it an exponent of 1 to better allow me to understand how all the rules work more simply with a less number of rules. So the 4 also has an exponent of 1. I'm going to give it an exponent of 1. And I'm going to erase that. I'm not lazy. So when that happens, I don't just slack off. I erase it. I squeeze it in properly so it's easier to read next time. Now, all I'm going to do is the same method that we did on the last step, multiplying the exponents. So what does that mean? Do people go, oh, well, there's 2 exponents. What do we do? No, just learn the method. Multiply the exponents. Don't think there's multiple exponents or there's only which. Just multiply the exponents. So I'm going to take this 2 and multiply it by both of these exponents. I'm going to go down the page this time. So we get 3. 1 times 2 is 2. Times, I'm going to use the dot sign. 4. 1 times 2 is 2. So we get 3 squared times 4 squared. Now, that's a fine answer. I'm going to circle my answer. It's a fine answer. It asks to leave it in exponential form. So leave it in exponential form until we get to higher level grades, whichever. Let's check our answer. So I'm going to rewrite the question off to the right. 3 times 4 squared. I'm going to do it a different way. 3 times 4 is 12. Squared is 144. Circle my answer. No, don't circle your answer. That's not a final answer. That's a find out if the answer that you circled was correct. Now the answer that we circled is 3 squared, which is just simply 9. 4 squared is 16. And 9 times 16 is also 144. So should I say equals 144? I could. But I just wrote it off to the right, and I don't want to spend so much time checking my answer. Check mark. And as you can see, all of the notes all over the page, give it an exponent of 1, multiply the exponents, a whole bunch of stuff off to the right of the tiny little calculations I did, the general form, etc. So, off to the right in brackets, it explains about bedmass, what we absolutely can't do. So some people take something like 3 plus 4 and see a squared and think, oh, somebody taught me that you just distribute the exponents and multiply the exponents. So 1, 1, and then multiply, and you get 3 squared plus 4 squared. Well, let's find out if we are Nobel laureates and are going to get a Nobel Prize for figuring out something in math. And we know that the left-hand side is 144. And the right-hand side is 3 squared is 9, 4 squared is 16, 9 plus 16 is 25. Those aren't equal to each other, so that rule is not allowed. And what we know that 3 plus 4 close bracket squared is equal to is 3 plus 4 times 3 plus 4. Now, I could continue and do all that and whatever, but this is correct because 3 plus 4 is 7, and 7 squared is 49. And 3 plus 4 is 7, and 3 plus 4 is 7, and 7 times 7 is 49. So we know that this method is correct, and the above method is absolutely incorrect, and you cannot distribute into a sum. So let's put a box or some sort of a cloud around that stuff, kind of side notes. Okay, so next question we have 12 cubed over 3 cubed. So what can we do with this? Well, notice in the notes I go down the page. I'm going to go to the right. I don't care. Do whatever you want. Just don't break any of the laws. Equals. So what I can do is I can say 12 over 3 cubed. You must have the same exponent for this. Because if I were to go back the other way, well, I would just multiply the exponents in. I'd give 12 a 1 and 3 a 1, and then I would distribute the 3 to the both ones. I would get 12 to the 3 equals 3 to the 3, and it's correct going left and right. Or I could type them both in and figure out if it's true. Now, 12 divided by 3 is 4, and 4 cubed. Brackets are unnecessary. Scribble them out instead of rewriting it. Erase them, whatever you want. Circle your answer. Remember, we're leaving them in exponential form. Now, type it into your calculator. 12 cubed divided by 3 cubed equals 64. Our answer, 4 cubed equals 64. Check mark near our answer. So, let's reverse that process. So now let's take 3 over 5 brackets around it squared. Well, as I said before, give it an exponent of 1. So 3 has an exponent of 1. 5 has an exponent of 1. And we're simply going to multiply our exponents. This time I'm going to go down. Who cares? So we get 3 squared over, notice I use the lines perfectly all the time, no matter what, 5 squared. And I'm going to circle my answer. Don't care. I know it's 9 over 25, and I know open bracket, 3 over 5, closed bracket squared is also 9 over 25, whatever decimal it gives me, as long as the decimals are the same. Check mark. So going to the down or going to the right, wherever. Sometimes you may think stuff gets messy. All you have to do is look for a circle, find out where the equal sign is, either to the left or above, and you can find the question. So we've done 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 questions on the left. Easy. So they're both, I should have said they're both equal to 0.36. Whatever. Check mark. So now, where it all matters. 2x, open bracket, cube. Now, you may be saying, oh, I did this in grade 8. Or you may be saying, I've never seen a variable. Our teachers haven't showed us variables. Then stop watching the video and continue on to the next, whichever. Either way, 2 has an exponent of 1. X has an exponent of 1. So, again, I'm going to multiply my exponents. 1 times 3 and 3 times 1, whatever. 2 cubed, x cubed. Now, sure, that answer's finished, but I know 2 cubed is 8. Now I want to go ahead a little bit further, circle my answer. Now, how can we check this answer? Well, off to the right, we have an example where we pick arbitrary numbers. So I'm just going to say x equals 3x. asterisk. It's not equal to 3, but I just want to be like, x could be 3, and let's see what happens. So we're going to take the question, open bracket, 2x, close bracket, cubed. Whenever I'm working all in the same stuff, I always put it all side by side, all parallel, so it's really pretty. And I always know that anything on a horizontal plane will always have to do with that question. Either way, I'm going to write down the answer. Now, I'm proposing an x value of 3. You could have taken 5 or 8 or whatever you want. Now I'm going to carefully substitute with brackets the 3 in for both x's. Notice I perfectly put brackets around exactly what I'm substituting for. So 2 times 3 is 6, and 6 cubed is equal to 216. Okay. Now I'm going to type in the answer. So 8x, the x value that we were choosing, the arbitrary x value that we were choosing was at 3. So we're going to put 3 in. And 3 cubed is 27, and 27 times 8 is also equal to 216. So because we checked our answer with an arbitrary value, you could have checked x equals 5. For that matter, go for it. And we know our answer is correct. So none of this, I can't check my answer, I don't have the answers, whichever. The teacher didn't give me the answers. Check your answer. There's always a way to check your answer. There's a million ways to check your answer. Figuring out like arbitrary numbers, or working backwards, or doing reverse processes, or asking a friend, or asking a different teacher, or typing into the internet, or whichever. Check your answer. Build confidence on your own to recognize that math is the simplest thing in the whole wide world. You can figure out how to do it on your own based on tiny little baby steps. And when you try and do hard stuff, you're like bench pressing 500 pounds. It's pointless. Start lighter.